There we go. Hello. Hi, Catherine.
Hello.
Thank you so much for joining me today.
All right.
How are you? How are you coping with lockdown?
Uh, Pretty well now. I've got a good tan um, from gardening and basically teaching my child homeschooling outside. Yeah, so I'm all right now. I've come up for air. I think for everyone that first month was like, oh, okay.
Hmm.
Um, but I've come up for air now, so I'm feeling a lot calmer and quite a different phase now of lockdown,
Yeah.
as opposed to the first month, which was quite a different experience.
Yeah. End of March, April was just a bit mad and
Yeah, I
very
think I think
rapid.
us and Boris Johnson were all quite surprised by this. But my parents live in Italy, so they'd locked down before us. So I was kind of having their experience of being locked down, and I could kind of see it coming here. And also, my business is run in Hong Kong, and Hong Kong had been, we worked with a lot of schools there, and they'd closed down in February, I think it was. So as the business was actually quite ready for it because we'd been through it in Hong Kong already.
Yeah.
So we'd tested the water already.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Was it mostly the challenge of having to balance homeschooling and leading a business? What's that like?
So my ex-partner didn't want to move our daughter between houses when the lockdown happened, for shielding reasons, I think. Um, so I was, and of course I run an online education program. So that went nuts. At the same time, I was suddenly faced with this decision of potentially not seeing my daughter for weeks, months, or uh, or keeping her and not being able to run my business efficiently. So I kind of went, I'm just going to have to make it work. So I was suddenly a single mother, having never been a single. Well, I mean, I'm a single mother when she's here, and it's just the two of us. But I was never a full-time single mother. I'd do 3 days, and then she'd go to her dad's. But suddenly, I was full-time single mother, with my business, which had never looked like this. The web traffic for March was 3 times what it normally was. Our servers crashed a couple of times. Um, I think I crashed a couple of times. Um, so it was like, oh, how do I do this? And she's 4, so it's not like, that's kind of like a really hard age because they want stimulation, they want to do stuff, and they want stuff out of you. So it was all a bit like, for that first month. And I just thought, okay, I'm just going to have to dig in. So I'd set my alarm for 4 a.m. I'd do 2 hours work before she woke up. Then I'd do a bit of mothering. Then I'd kind of work with her there, kind of going, and then she'd get some TV. Because, of course, you've got the guilt in your head as well, going, not too much screen time. So then I'd put her to bed, and then I'd do some more work, and we'd do all of this again. And it was pretty. I was knackered by the end of the
Yeah.
month.
Jesus,
Yeah,
that's just. I mean, I got stressed because of the whole anxiety level stuff. Well, no,
mm,
that's wrong. At the very beginning, I was really relaxed, and I was very much like, "Everyone, calm down. You're all in shock right now. You just need to
yeah,
take a minute, and you'll be
yeah,
okay."
yeah.
And then, uh, and then I lost faith in the government, and then I panicked, and I was like, "No." Um, but there was a moment where I was sitting outside with my other half, and I looked at him and I said, boy, we are so lucky we don't have a child right now because I would not be able to cope. But then the reality is, you just do, don't you? You just have to do, and somehow you just have
Mm.
to cope. If you get thrown in the deep end, you just swim. I don't think there is a
Well,
sink.
yeah, yeah. My mum said that. She said, "How are you coping?" And I was like, "It's a bit like a marathon. You're like, you just keep putting one foot in front of the other, and
Mm,
hopefully I'll hit a finishing line at some point."
yeah.
Um, and I think, like, it's not like my story was all the more treacherous or harder than anyone else's. And I think everyone's got their own COVID hell that they lived in at some point. You know, so I think everyone's been faced with times where they're like, this is awful. I hate the person I live with, or
But I also, in a very weird and strange way, find that quite a nice experience, the fact that we've all been through the tumble dryer and back out in our own unique ways. But it seems like we all have something in common. And having my experience from last year, I felt so isolated until I found other people that with me. But at least now, you know, you meet up with friends, you meet up with business associates, whatever. Everyone's going through a mad phase, and I actually find that quite I don't know, I find that quite a positive experience in that sort of sense. I hope that empathy will last. That's the only thing I'm a bit worried about, that people remember what when we were, well, yeah. But then I don't like that slogan saying we're all in the same boat. So it's like, no, not quite.
Yeah. You're not on a flat in the middle of London, having not seen any greenery in weeks. Yeah, like we're privileged to have space and be in Norwich. I mean, like we're the New Zealand of the UK.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, absolutely.
there we are.
Yeah. Well, that brings me on to a good point. So for anyone who hasn't had the pleasure of meeting you, we have mentioned online education service, but can you just quickly introduce yourself, just a quick summary of who you are? Did you catch that?
Sure. Let me just swig a tea.
For anyone watching, we are experiencing some internet problems, but we're just rolling with it.
Yeah. It's part of life now, isn't it? So I'm Katherine. I run a website and app called Phonics Hero. So it teaches children aged 4 to 7 how to read and spell. So I started it with my dad in 2011. And we saw an opportunity to take what he was doing in schools and put it online. So I joined forces with a tech friend who went, oh, how hard can it be? And we developed 850 games that would teach a child how to read and spell. So we started it in Hong Kong, and then I went over to Australia for a while and worked on it from there. And then I moved back to England 3 years in September to basically come home. My sister lives in Norwich. She teaches at UEA. And she's got a little girl, 3 months older than my little girl. So I kind of went, oh, I want my sister. So moved back here and have been here since. I've never been to Norwich before I moved here.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So the first day I got here, she was like, oh, let me show you around. So, oh, this is quite a good choice.
Yeah, no, you definitely chose well. As someone who also sort of stumbled into Norwich and just never left. It's a great place.
When did you move here?
2007.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, and well, actually, that's not true. 2007, I moved. I lived in London first. I was a nanny in a Chelsea household.
Oh, wow. But that was eye-opening.
It was, yeah, it was horrendous. It put me off kids for a really long time. It's taken me to my early 30s to start thinking about having kids again, because I was as a 5 and a 7-year-old. And the truth of the matter was they weren't like bad kids, but they just wanted their mum at home or their dad at home. And both of their parents were very high shot professionals in their careers. But I think because both of them had such demanding jobs, they just were never at home, and that includes the weekends. And you know, they left at 6 a.m, came back at 9 p.m, and they sort of expected me to discipline their kids, which is like, I'm 20. I don't know. I can just about iron your shirt. I don't know how to deal with that. So yeah, that didn't last very long.
But I think that's an interesting point about what their life was like. You know, like we're saying, oh, COVID has exposed like how rubbish the system is for a lot of people, and we talk about like the poorer end, but the system's also rubbish for the rich people too. Like that, they aren't enjoying their life. You know, they're not seeing the kids. They're they're just working, they probably hate each other. Like, this system's not very good.
No, there was nothing healthy about that household,
No.
but but then I mean I did see the way they compensated it, and let's say like that. I found I was with them for 3 months, so I lived with them as well, and I think it gave me a very unique insight into how other people live. That was
Mm,
completely alien to me, and so I used to take the kids as a special treat to the cinema and would think that's a special treat. But then the following weekend, their dad would take them in a helicopter up to Man United to watch Chelsea versus Man United in a box. And I'm like, I can't compete with that. How am I meant to make them do stuff when you just.
yeah.
So yeah, I'm not in touch with that family anymore, but I have thought many a times, I wonder what happened to the kids.
Mm,
Like, I wonder what they ended up doing, or because they must be adults by now as well, which is even more scary. Um,
mm.
yeah, and then yeah, after that, I was so it didn't end very well. The reason it ended was because one of the kids pushed me, and I ended up in front of a cab.
Oh
So
gosh.
I got bounced off a bonnet. Thankfully, not hurt much, but I did have to go to hospital. But the fact that I don't know, the way they spun it was, well, if you can't control the kids, that they actually push you, then you shouldn't be looking after the kids. I was like, yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah.
And when I came back from hospital, my bags were in front of the door, so I was like, oh, thanks.
Wow.
Yeah, no pay and no mobile phone, and I was really stubborn as well because I didn't want to go back to Switzerland, so I didn't like tell my parents, and I ended up catching a train to Dis because I knew my dad had a RAF mate there, and I hoped there was only one Dis in England. And thankfully, I ended up in the right place, and I walked into the waterfront and asked the barman and said, "Do you know a guy called Chris Dakin?" And he said, "I do, but who are you?" And that's yeah, that's how
Oh,
I ended up in
amazing.
Norfolk. Yeah, it's really mad.
And how did you get from this to here? You thought, oh.
I needed a job, and there aren't any jobs in Dis. So I ended up getting a 12-hour contract in Primark.
Amazing.
Yeah, incredible. And then found like a bed sit in Norwich in someone's house.
Oh, I
And
love it.
yeah, and just did every bit of overtime I could. Yeah, so yeah, my career in England started in Primark pretty much. So
So did they literally pack your suitcases
yeah,
ready?
there was nothing professional about that whole thing whatsoever. But then I was 20. I didn't really care. I just wanted to be out of there.
Yeah.
When my parents, like when my dad's RAF mate rang my parents went ballistic. Because obviously this was all done via an agency, au pair, nanny.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
meant to be taken care of and not just
Not
wander the
thrown in front of
country.
the bus.
Yes. So, but yeah, I've always been fairly resilient and self-sufficient to find
Yeah.
a way of somehow making things happen. So
Good for you. Quite right.
yeah, yeah. So what I must tell you, my during COVID, my neighbours started a WhatsApp group, which was great because we didn't know anyone. We haven't been living here for very long, and it's a lovely little community. And they were sharing tips with each other, and there was like full days about everything to do with the kids. And Phonics Heroes came up, and so I was like,
Ah,
I was like, I know her.
amazing.
Yeah, it was really
Ah,
great. I really loved it. So
oh.
I guess my question is, what have you learned from the last 3 months?
Well, one of the main things I learned was when I was in single motherhood and business booming hood, I kind of thought, right, I can't continue like I can't continue like I was before because I physically there aren't enough hours in the day. I have to sleep. And I thought, right, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? I was like, okay, well, you're just going to have to cut your hours. You're going to have to furlough yourself essentially. and you're going to have to delegate. And I've always been good at delegating. My team say that about me. Here she is again, delegating. But I got even better. So I'd like, my daughter would be colouring something in, and I'd be there with my phone like, hi, what's that voice message here? Right, we're going to do a blog, and it's going to be a blah, 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 blah. That should be enough. Okay, bye.
That's amazing. That is brilliant.
So I just delegated my way through it. I was like, right, I just need to do the stuff that actually makes a difference. And the problem is that you're suddenly full of opportunity, right? It's like everywhere I looked, it was like, oh, I could do that. Like this is important. This is important. And I think I'm finally starting to learn that no is a better word than yes. I'm a sucker for an opportunity. Just because it's sparkly doesn't mean you should chase after it.
No, I agree. I think there's a lot of pressure at the moment as well, from the outside, like social media and stuff like that, in terms of you must use this time to basically change the world. I don't know what people expect of me, but it's like everyone's doing something really meaningful with their time, which is great and all, but when it becomes a sort of you must or you should, that's when I don't know if it's all as productive. But yeah, no, it's just reminded me, and it brings me on nicely to my next question, because you gave me a book, inadvertently gave me a book recommendation, because you did a kick-ass speech at Hotsource at Christmas.
Oh, the Christmas one. Christmas, that feels so long ago.
I know.
And 1987.
I finally got round to listen, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck.
Yeah.
What an awesome book.
Yeah.
I really loved it. So I guess, other than that book, what sort of materials or podcasts, I mean, maybe not at the moment, but what do you normally engage with? Or do you still get around to listen to something?
I did. It took me 4 weeks to turn the telly on, and I think you're right about that whole pressure to succeed in this, and to like knead bread and stuff like that, and bake soda bread and all that sort of thing. Like some of us just like need to get through to the end. And actually, I think one of the skills I've learned is not doing anything. And that's the hardest thing for me, like to just sit in a garden and not be plotting in my head, to just like play Paw Patrol with my daughter and be more chilled. And I think that's a lovely skill to learn. And I shouldn't have had to have learned it, really. That's what's wrong with this whole system. We'll go. And actually not going is also a very useful skill. So yes, not achieving is an achievement in itself. So don't feel like you need to, my dear.
No. I found it took me a while, but I found my balance.
Yeah.
And it's helped me that I started to develop a bit of a rehab. There wasn't a plan to it, but I started to decide, right, I'm going to do just something really simple every day. And at the beginning, it was all about mobility. So, a year ago, it was leave the house, get to the lamppost, and get back again, and then being able to scale that up. But during this lockdown, it's been such a blessing, because there's been no FOMO, there's been no events, there's been no social gathering, there's been no, I can say that because you won't hear it. There's been no mother-in-law wanting us for lunch. There's been no sister-in-law wanting us to babysit. It's fantastic. It's just given me a bit of space to just figure out, what do I actually want to do? What's important to me?
And have you got an answer?
No, I have. And it's really lovely, because it's something that has come back to me. So when I first started Breed Events, very ambitiously, anyone who's seen my website and knows what I do and how the two don't align. No. But I always kept going on about how events should be experiences, and how when you organize something, it should actually have like a meaning, or be able to do something so you get your return on investment and all of that. But I sort of was doing these sound bites, but have never been able to bring it together in a way that I could do a tangible product. But thankfully, someone's done it for me now, and it's called. There's a diploma, a university diploma called Event Design, and I've just enrolled. It's an American university because it's all virtual. Yay!
Yeah.
I start next week, in 2 weeks' time.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, I went through all the material, and I've actually already done 10 modules, even though I haven't started yet. But I love it so much.
Oh, wow, you found your thing.
Yeah, and it's just like, and I remember I got so excited. I came in, it's like, Nick, they do it now. There's a name for it. It's amazing,
Yeah.
and there's a methodology, and I don't have to work it out. I just have to learn it. It's amazing. So yeah, that's from a career viewpoint. That's like, I can see that as a starting point, and then after that, anything's possible, which is also daunting but really lovely. It's like,
Yeah, yeah. Have a look at there's an agency in Australia called Banter.
oh yeah,
And they're an agency for experiential events or something like that. But anyway, that was that kind of their premise. It's just a small agency. I know them from being in Oz, but they were promoting that sort of thing. Be interested, follow them on Instagram or something,
yeah,
and
definitely.
yeah, have a look at what they're up to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So so I've been desperately trying to slow down in order to hit an acceptable speed at some point in the future.
Mm,
So,
mm,
and it's been really really nice. I don't know, are you familiar with The Slight Edge? Don't know if
no.
it's crossed your path. It's a book that got recommended to me by, well, several people, but mostly Oliver Hill, who's a coach, actually a proper coach, not just someone who calls themselves a coach. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I read that book, and it's the premise is really simple: is that successful people um, do simple tasks every day that are simple to do, but also very simple not to do.
So, for example.
So, for example, you want to lose weight. So, what I'm doing at the moment, so every day I do 35 minutes of exercise, and I follow a food plan that I make for myself weekly. But I do it every day, forever, because we know what happens with diets. You start, and then 2 weeks
Mm,
later, you stop. So,
yeah.
those two things are easy things to do, but they're also really easy not to do.
Mm.
So it's sort of by overcoming that, and realizing that about compound impact.
So,
So
like compound interest.
or compound interest, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I started off with the walk into the lamppost, but now I'm doing the catch to 5K, and I'm on week 5, and I can run.
Oh, dieting in lockdown. That's torture.
Well, it's not, but it's not dieting in terms of to be honest with you, I'm just eating healthily. I'm
Uh,
just eating balance. I'm just eating the way we're supposed to eat. But it's difficult because there's so much crap I would love to eat, but I'm just
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, and there's treats and things to give yourself because you survived another day.
yeah. But yeah, no. So it's been an interesting place to be.
Mm. I
Yeah.
have started. I have started watching The Last Dance. I'm only part way through. Um, and have you seen any of it?
No,
What
no.
it? Okay, it's about the Chicago Bulls, and it's just about their last NBA final. I think it is. I probably got that wrong, basketball terms, but it's their last season basically as a team, and it's Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, who's the crazy guy? Lost his head. Anyway, and it's all these famous faces from basketball when I was growing up, And I was never into basketball, but it's just such an amazing story of how, like, Michael Jordan is such a fantastic athlete. He flies when he slam dunks, um, and how the team's made up, and how what leadership looks like in there, and what their team coach was like. So one bit Michael Jordan says, we've got a big game in a week. And most young coaches would have said, "Oh no, you need to be practicing drills." And he said, "But not our coach. We're on the golf course having fun," because he realizes we're humans. And just watching the way that they structured their team, and what it takes to pull a good team together. Like, there's this management level guy who's a bit mean to them all, but he's really smart and really sees the vision of the team. And you have to have all those different skills to make a business or a team work. So I'm kind of watching that, trying to find my inner Michael Jordan at the moment.
Amazing. No, I love that. That's on Netflix, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I heard a lot about it. We don't subscribe to Netflix because Barbara goes into a hole of Netflix. I can't restrain myself easily. So when I get hooked on something, I need to see it all. So I try to keep.
Oh yeah, that's dangerous then.
Yes. Well, we've come to the point in our catch up where I pull out my random jar.
Looks like a jar of condoms.
Not quite. Basically, they're loads of questions, but I wrote them a couple of years ago, so I don't actually know what's in there. And previous ones that I've pulled out, I was like, I must have been a bit pissed when I wrote this. So yeah, we'll see what happens. Okay. When you were a kid, what did you think being this age that you are now would be like?
Okay, so not 40 yet. I thought I would probably have several children, and be married in a twee little cottage. Well, yeah. Not having, I probably thought I would have, married with kids. Probably wouldn't have a business, would probably, I don't know, be a...
Knitting jumpers and making cakes.
Yeah, my mum was entrepreneurial and always had a job. So I think I would have probably thought, yes, I would have had a job, but not doing something as random as I've ended up doing, and not having a non-nuclear family. Yeah. And I thought I would have thought I wouldn't have moved like I had. If you'd have said, would you have moved to Hong Kong and Australia and stuff, I'd have kind of gone, no, I'll be in York, because I grew up in York in the north. I'll be in York forever, and I'd still have all the same friends. And yeah, we left York when I was 11, so that was all a bit of a shock to the system. Yeah.
You travel as a family then?
Yeah, we moved. My dad was an educational psychologist and got a job for the international schools in Hong Kong. So we all moved as a family to Hong Kong when I was 11, and then I came back when I was 18 to university. Yeah. So I stayed in York, had my wee little family, my wee little cottage, and my wee little job, being a vet or something. At one point, I wanted to be a cleaner because I really liked our cleaner. And I remember our cleaner saying, I think you need to aspire for a little bit more. It's like, but I want to be like you.
Oh, that's so nice. Well, that's really sweet, because she must have thought like, oh, thanks. But
Yeah.
Obviously a very kind person. So that's lovely.
Yeah. I mean, I'd be an awful cleaner.
No. Same here. Did you know, because I grew up in Switzerland, and did you know that in Switzerland you have to do an apprenticeship to become a cleaner? 3-year apprenticeship. Same goes for shopkeeper, or a shop assistant.
Oh wow.
Yeah, they're really big.
Teach you.
Sorry?
What do you do on you? So you're under someone else's wing, essentially.
Well, yeah, but you go to school I think 2 or 3 days a week, depending on what job you end up doing. But it's actually, I think it's really good because you finish school at 15 or 16, depending when you were born
Mm.
during the year. And then they sort of, the wages aren't as bad as over here. It's actually apprenticeship wages. I mean, it's not as good as a full wage, but it's quite close. And you go to school 3 days or 2 days a week, and you learn things like budgeting or what your workers' rights are or
Oh,
leadership or and like sort of general life skills. And then there will be like an afternoon which would be tailored to your profession. So
well, that's great. That's teaching you, entrepreneurial skills that you're
almost,
not necessarily going to have.
yeah, no,
Um,
to uh, also for your independence and stuff. And it's
mm,
so funny because when I first came up, so I did Primark and then I moved on to Next, and I ended up selling sofas, which my friend who did an apprenticeship for 3 years in order to sell furniture lost her shit. She was like, "You are doing what? I
ah,
study." And I was like, "Well, I've got like this leaflet that tells me all the layers, and that's all I need to know."
wow.
But we had to
And
go.
who was the better salesperson, you or
Uh,
her?
she was definitely.
Might be something in
Well,
it.
actually, I did sell quite a few sofas, but yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't know how many people go to the clothing store next in city centre here in Norwich to buy a sofa. I think that whole premise was always a bit of a fail. So
Yeah. Do they still? No, I don't know. Yeah. Do
no,
they?
they've moved it. They've moved it out. So it's now by Cossey. They have a specific home section there.
Right.
So yes, it's all quite funny. But yeah, so I love the fact that here in the UK you can just pretty much be and do whatever you
Yeah. Yeah. Good luck with it.
want.
Think
Right,
of
Catherine, thank you so much for joining me.
no problem. That was fun.
Um, yeah, absolutely. I've nearly finished my wine, so
I
now
had beer at lunch, so I decided to be sensible.
yeah. Well, to be honest with you, it's hair of the dog because we had a very late night quiz last night.
Oh,
Um,
fun.
yeah, and painting the fence, I said to Nick, "Oh, I need a drink because otherwise this is not going to end well." So I'm all happy again. So it's been lovely to catch up with you, and I hope I'll see you in the not too far future
Yeah,
with a cocktail and a DJ and lots more going on.
that's fun. Okay. All right. Well, you stay safe. I hate saying that. It's the worst cliche now. Anyway, you have fun. Enjoy the sun.
Yeah, you too. Take
All right.
care. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.